Hello friends, I cannot believe that I've waited for so long to share my very favorite holiday dinner side dish, sweet potato casserole. I first tried it when I married a Southern boy from Alabama. Once you've tried it, you will not turn back. Sweet potato casserole is coming up next on Cooking Made Easy with June, brought to you by Macy's, the happy shopping store in Spanish Fork. Hello everyone, welcome to Cooking Made Easy with June. I love the holidays, and one of the dishes that we always make for the holidays, whether it be Thanksgiving or even Christmas, because we have the same thing for the Christmas dinner as the Thanksgiving dinner, and I used to try to change my Christmas dinner, but my husband always says, can't I just have my favorite meal twice a year? So we have the turkey and we have, the sweet potato casserole, because it's very Southern every Christmas and every Thanksgiving. So this sweet potato casserole, there's so many versions, right? And it's very, very Southern. And so I first tried it, let's see, like I said, his mom, I believe, made it. And I've actually, of course, modified it a little bit. Some recipes call for you to boil your potatoes and then mash it, but I love baking it. I feel like when you bake the potatoes, it kind of saves more of the flavor into the potato, and it has a natural sugar syrup that it makes once it's cooled and mashed. So good. I love sweet potatoes. So you take about 5 cups of sweet potatoes mashed and cooked. But to bake the potatoes, what I like to do is wash it with water and then pat it dry and then spray a light cooking spray on it. You put about 5 around the peeling, right? Because once you bake it, it's going to be easier to peel. So you place a piece of parchment paper or foil on a cookie sheet. And so 5 cups is about 5 medium-sized potatoes. So some of your potatoes may be smaller, but then if you get a bigger size, you're gonna need about 5 approximately, okay? So you put that on there, and I don't cover it. I stick it in the oven at 375 for about 45 minutes to an hour. You don't wanna undercook it, you wanna rather overcook it a tiny bit. You'd rather have it really, really soft and well-baked, because for this recipe. So then I just do it the night before or whatever, and then take it out and let it cool down. Once it's cooled down, I peel it, then I mash it, and I put it in the refrigerator for whenever I'm ready for it. So, long thing for a short thing. But it's very important that you bake it first, okay? So I have here the 5 cups of baked, mashed sweet potatoes. Or some people call it yams, I don't know. But it's the orange one. And then we're just going to add all the things in it. And I'm like looking for my thing. There's my phone. So I'm pretty sure I have the recipe memorized, but I just want to make sure. Because one of my episodes, I forgot the eggs, even though I had it and I didn't follow the recipe. Okay, so we have the sweet potatoes, and then we have to add a cup of sugar. Now, most recipes call for white sugar, but I love brown sugar. So this whole recipe, I use brown sugar. So a cup of that, and then 8 tablespoons of butter softened. So in reality, 8 tablespoons is actually a half cup. Now, I melt it first, because in this, especially when you make this, it's going to have clumps of butter. It's more difficult to just use soft butter for me in here. So I just will go ahead and melt the butter and put it in here, so it will be easier to incorporate into the dish. Then we have vanilla, which is 1.5 teaspoons. And you can roughly measure it, or you can just put it in there. I'm not too worried about it, because I've told you many times, I love vanilla. So this is 3.5 teaspoons. So add another, 3/4 teaspoon, that's 1.5, right? Oh my gosh, I just remember I used the same for another recipe, and I think I might have added too much of something, because I thought this was 1 teaspoon. It's good, a half teaspoon, All right, I'm rambling today. All right, then we have 1/2 cup of milk. This is actually half and half. So the more cream, the better, right? But you can use regular milk, 2% milk, whole milk would be great. But I only had like a 1% milk, so I did half of that and I added some cream. And my 2 large eggs. Yeah, and so make sure, oh, okay, I'm gonna break it into, I do not want shells in there, that's gonna be hard to get out. So I'm gonna crack it into my little bowl to make sure I don't get shells in it. There's something in the oven, I'll check in a second. All right, so I'm gonna pour this in here. And then I'm just going to whisk it. So that, well, I'm gonna try to get this brown sugar in here. So there's a little, brown sugar, of course, has a little more chunks. So that's why I'm pounding it down like this. And just mix it together. This is really a no-fail recipe. If you use sweet potatoes, if you like sweet potatoes, you're gonna love this. To me, it's like a dessert. Okay, so something like that is all you need, really. I'm gonna put this in here and then I'm going to, now I have room to stir it so it'll be more incorporated. All right. Okay, let's go ahead. Now, some recipes call for cinnamon or they add flour, but I like just this rough feeling of just raw mashed sweet potato. So I have more of that sweet potato taste and not as much of any other spices. So let's go ahead and put this into our pan. And you don't need to grease the bottom because it's not really gonna be like a cake. When you scoop it, you're gonna scoop it out once it's all baked with the delicious topping that we're going to make next. So, I'm just gonna, you see little chunks of, the brown sugar in there, and that's okay, it's gonna be awesome. Okay, so I have my sweet potato casserole, the main part in there. Set it aside. Now we're gonna make the crumble. Basic crumble. You know, you have your brown sugar, you've got your flour, and then I'm gonna mix it a little bit first, and then I'll add my butter. This is a pastry cutter. If you don't have one, you can use a fork. And if you don't have a fork, which I hope everybody has a fork, if you don't want to use a fork, you can also take your fingers and just make a little crumblies in it, which I've done that before too many times. So what we want is a texture of a crumbly topping. Now, some recipes, most of the recipes call for a 1/4 cup of butter, but I like my topping to be a little bit more crispy, so I actually doubled it. The more the merrier is what I say in most recipes for butter. I may need to use a fork here because if you want to have I'll just use my fingers, right? Like a crumbly mixture. Oh yeah, I'm going to add my, the bowl is not big enough. I'm gonna grab a fork here. Yeah, so you can use a fork and a pastry cutter, right? So usually, I don't have time I didn't do a good job at having room temperature butter ready, but this time I did. So normally what I do to soften butter really quickly is I would grate the butter. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and put this in here. Cup of pecans. This is our yummy topping. Make sure I didn't forget anything. Pecans, flour, sugar, and butter. Yeah, that's it, really. Okay. I'm gonna use my fingers because I want little crumbs like this. So if you notice, the nuts are coarsely chopped. I've had some people some people don't want to add nuts, because some are allergic to nuts, then you can leave it out. But what I would do is I would add maybe a 1/4 cup instead of the nuts, I would add a 1/4 cup of oatmeal or even a 1/2 cup of oatmeal to add more texture to it. So we don't have just mushy things, you know, because you've got the mushy sweet potato itself in the casserole, and then you've got the topping, right? But if you don't have the nuts, I would highly recommend that you add some oatmeal, raw oatmeal, the rolled oats. Okay, so we have our, bring this over here, and I'm going to go ahead and put the crumbs, just roughly about like that, evenly. And this is the fun part, and you can have your children help you cook this process, do this process. It's so fun, right? Now, remember in the holidays, you've got so many things going on. You say, oh, I got to do this, I've got to make this. So this is actually where you could go ahead and put the topping at this point. After you put the topping, you can wrap it up in saran wrap and put it in the fridge the night before, or even 2 days before. Then when you're ready to bake it, just take it out and take off the wrapping, leave it, you're gonna bake it uncovered. Okay, I'm gonna put this out a little bit here. You're gonna do it uncovered at 375. Now, if you refrigerate it, you know that your whole thing's gonna be cold, right? Unless it's at room temperature, it may take you about 5 or 10 more minutes to bake. But if you just put it in right now, like when it's just room temperature, then it'll be about 30 minutes. And just check to see if the topping is crispy. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this in. Let's see, 375. Okay, so here is our sweet potatoes casserole. Oh, look at the topping. That's my favorite part. My favorite part is that crispy topping, hence I added extra butter in the topping. And so if you can see how yummy this looks, I'm going to get me a little bit here on the corner. And give it a taste. So this does look like a dessert, and it is. So in the tradition of our family, we have my little niece, Callie. She loves this, and she used to come when she was younger. She would come and spend the night for the holidays, and then her family would come over the next day, you know, but she'll come to the holidays and we'll just have, she always says, please I always make double. Like I would have like 2 pans, and then they'll eat leftovers for like the next 2 days, and we can just eat it like this, just like this. It's like a dessert. Oh my goodness, this is so good. I know, especially you can tell when you get a good batch of sweet potatoes, and you always wonder like, well, how do you know if it's a good batch? Oh, you guys. Chris, if you love sweet potatoes, you're gonna love this. For sure. You've got to do my version with the brown sugar and the crispier topping. But how you look for a sweet potato that is good is you just look overall color. Okay, just look at the overall. I love when I see a deep red or burgundy that's kind of in there. You just look at it overall and just kind of like, oh, this looks good. I know that's kind of weird, but just look overall the color. There's not too many blemishes, so that's how you look. So anyways, you guys have got to make this. Then every year they're gonna say, will you bring sweet potato casserole? And you're gonna say, yes, I will, because you can make it ahead. So you guys go make this. It's delicious. My version, of course. And until then, happy baking. Next time, I mean.